Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the Give and Go podcast. Getting ready to wrap up soccer season today. My player of the year should be posted later tonight, I'm hoping. But we're going to do one more soccer interview right before we switch and transition to basketball season next week, actually, Monday. Scrimmages start and regular season can actually start on Monday. But today I got senior from Rumson, Aubrey Scoble. Aubrey, thank you for taking time out today to join me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, let's talk about. Oh, actually, we'll talk about how was the All-Star game last night.
It was cold. It was really fun. Very full circle moment for me and a lot of the other girls to come together for one last game. I grew up playing with a lot of them, and it was awesome to be all in the same field together one last time.
Yeah, I didn't go last night, but I'm usually there, and it's more like a social gathering. The kids, players laughing at each other on the field and stuff like that. So it's always a good time for the seniors to wrap up their high school careers. And Josh at Freelboro does a great job putting that event together for the boys and girls.
Yes.
So it was fun. I know the weather was a little bit on the frigid side. 2 years ago, I think it snowed during the girls' game because they played second that 2 years ago. Last year was a little chilly, and 3 years ago, I walked outside to go to the game, and it was so cold out. I went back inside and said, "I am not going." So I wish they could get the game a little earlier, but I get it. Soccer season ended late this year, so.
Yes, it definitely did.
So you brought up, you started playing with a lot of these kids when you were 5. Was that when you first started playing soccer, or is that when you
Yes.
first went to a club team?
I was 3 or 4 when I first played like a little rec league with my dad as my coach. And then I was 5 turning 6 when I moved to my first like club, quote unquote, team, which was Wildcats, which was based in
Okay.
Long Branch at the time. And from there, I met a lot of girls, and then a group of us transitioned to Cedar Stars, which is where that like full like group of originals came together.
I remember, so the girls who are currently seniors in college had a very strong Wildcat team.
Yes,
Um,
yes, I
you know,
guess played with them a few times.
Ava Madoff was the goalie. Abby Naj from RBC
Yes.
on the team. Carney from Brick. So I got to know them, and very successful team. And then they transitioned obviously to Cedar Stars as well once Wildcats. So it seemed like Wildcats was a pretty good program when it was around.
Yes, I would say so. I mean, it's where I started. It was really fun.
Do you remember your first coach at Wildcats?
I had two coaches, Coach Tom and Coach Damon, I believe their names were. Yeah, and they had daughters, Reese and Emma,
Okay,
who I'm still in contact with.
that's good. And that's the great, being with the same club kids and stuff like that, and growing those contacts and growing up together. That's what all sports is supposed to be about when you're growing up as a teenager, being close with them. Now, when you went to Cedar, who was your coach there?
My first coach was Becky Tweed, who is now the Angel FC head coach out in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
So she is doing phenomenal. Um, she's like honestly my biggest role model. Like she look up to her so much. I actually, when I left Cedar Stores, I followed her up to a club in North Jersey called STA. And I was with her there for 2 years, and then I was with STA for 4 years. But for the 2 years that I had her, it was great. Our team was amazing. She rebuilt the entire age group, and then she got called out to be head coach, and now we couldn't be prouder of her.
How did she help your game?
She built it. Like she built my game. She completely like also a big thing is like not having a lot of female representation as like coaches. So being able to be that young and stay with a incredible like powerful like woman coach as she taught us like the game was so cool. She and another coach at SCA, Kelly Sims, they inspired me actually to get my own coaching license, which I worked on. And now, once I turn 18 this summer, I'll be able to take the next step with it. But yeah, so I currently hold my own coaching license because of them.
I got my coaching license when I was 15, turning 16.
Yep.
And Same thing when you turned 18, because back then, this was 1996. They couldn't give you a coaching license because you weren't 18 yet. It was actually a trainer's license, and then when you turned 18, it turned into where you could coach a team by yourself. So I remembered the class very. I had to watch Christy Pierce. That was the class at Monmouth because the Monmouth coach was the guy. There was an instructor. So they scheduled the class the same day he had a game. So we had to go to the game and basically summarize the game was how we got our licenses. So it was pretty impressive. So coaching is definitely something you have going on in the future. You're going
Yeah.
to want to do. That's
Yes.
great. I had Coach Caruso from Brick Memorial on last week, and he says, he loves that there's so many more female high school coaches this year, and it seems like every year. And he hopes it keeps continuing in that trend where more female coaches, because they, like you said, such a great role model to you, and be role models to these kids. So that's great to hear. Now, let's go shift over a little bit to, high school. You spent your freshman and sophomore year at Trinity Hall. When you were going in there as a freshman, what kind of goals did you set for yourself?
For the first year, for my freshman year, my coach there, Pat Trombetta, actually had pulled us aside after tryouts and preseason and had us set 3 goals for ourselves. And I remember my my first, like my biggest goal, I was like, I'm gonna hit double digits as a freshman in goals. And he was like, all right, I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna tell you no. Let's get you out there. And I definitely did. I hit 14 goals my freshman year, and it was an incredible experience. Um, and that was and it just went from there. I had a coach who encouraged me completely to put my mind to it and do it.
Yeah, I really like Pat over there at Trinity Hall. He's doing a great job with that
Fantastic
program.
job.
How did he help you, the 2 seasons you played for him?
Um, I think we were very like-minded with the fact that we both really, really wanted like a state title, like from the start. Like that was he obviously took over like his first year was my first year. So it was kind of like we were growing into it together. But he was a great coach. His entire philosophy, everything was great.
Um, Now I know going into a school, your freshman year, it could be a little nerve-wracking. Any upperclassmen help you along the way your first year?
So many of them. I had a great senior class that year. Specifically Lily Froelich, who is playing at Georgetown, and then also Cameron Keene, who plays at UNCW. We have like a big sister, little sister thing there where an upperclassman will adopt like a younger, like an underclassman. And Cameron was my big sister, and she got hurt halfway through the season. But honestly, I can list the entire like they were also amazing, and then the juniors and the girls above me as well. Like I had a great time there.
Yeah, Cameron is. I've had her on the podcast too, and I was heartbroken when she got injured, but it worked out in in the long in the in the end, and her mom I got to know her mom, great lady too. So that's a perfect role model for you to have as a new student in a new place. One thing I wanted to bring up, with Trinity Hall, Pat does a very good job of blending the underclassmen in because it seems like every year he has a few good freshmen that are getting very significant minutes, and he does a really good job of getting them time on the field with the upperclassmen. Did you agree with that? Did you think he did a good job with that, especially your freshman
Oh,
sophomore year?
100%, 100%. He's a very, very smart like soccer coach. He knows what he's doing, and 100%. Like all the players that deserve minutes got minutes. He was very much like based on like if you're working hard, like you'll see results, and I think that really showed. I mean, they went all the way to what the state finals and devastating loss last year, but that was incredible, like first time in program history.
That was a great game too. I was at that game and they were knocking on the door so many times
I
with the
know.
Riley was Sullivan very good with her
Yes.
corner kicks and they were so dangerous, but that soccer sometimes it just doesn't go in. And I thought, your sophomore year, you had quite a few freshmen that got a lot of playing time your sophomore year. So I know the future is looking good. And I think he has a pretty good freshman class coming in next year, from what I'm hearing from the club people. So, Trinity Hall, he's doing, like I said, he's doing a great job with that program, and it's gonna be up in the top five in the short conference consistently, I think, year in and year out.
I agree.
Now, you transferred to Rumson your junior year. How did you find that transition?
Well, as anytime someone's face was changed, it's definitely different. I switched from more of an attacking role to more of a defensive role, which was also an adjustment because I had never played as a defensive center mid before my entire soccer career. So that was definitely a change. But I was really welcomed. Like honestly, I think that I've been blessed to experience two phenomenal programs with two phenomenal, like they're so different but both so great in their own ways. The upperclassmen, like I still Paige West, Kate Hennon, Ellie Me, Ella Mason, still talk to them like consistently, even with them being at school. And then my own grade and just getting like there's something special about playing for like your hometown too. So I think it was really great. And then Perk and like
That was his first
everyone,
year too, right?
yes, that was his
Yeah.
first year as
Yeah.
head coach as well. So he stepped into a new role and I stepped into a new role as well. And I think that we both kind of grew again together from that.
I think that could have been a little bit of advantage too, because all the players were learning the new system that he wanted to do
Yeah,
with you, where you're going there. If it was the same coach, they have the same system. You're kind of just learn. You not saying you would be a step back, but everybody had to learn a fresh system. So I think
exactly.
that's now that see. I always like to ask this question going for your junior year. What was something you really want to improve on going into your junior year?
Improve on. I think that it would have been like capitalizing in big games, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because obviously it was a brand new team, a brand new state division, because I'm now going from private to public. Understanding that there's a bunch of new teams that we're facing in like a state, like a state championship and all of that in a bracket. So I think it was kind of like making sure to take care of the small things and then like finish on the big things and then eventually get the ring, but we didn't. But it was a heartbreaker at the end.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that now. Actually, the rivalry Rumson has developed since COVID. I'd have to say,
Yeah.
because that pod year Rumson beat Wall in the pod champs, which whatever you call those. And ever since then, they always seem to meet in group two, Central Jersey Group Two, and the game never disappoints. If you're a soccer fan, you're gonna love the outcome no matter what. You might not like it on certain if you're on the losing end of the team, but just talk about it is about Wall that brings out the best of both teams when your two teams meet.
I think that Wall is a powerhouse. Year after year, they have very like consistently strong, aggressive, quick, like very like overall like the physicality of the team is top notch. And I think that it brings out like a hunger from both teams to like prove it's I mean it's they're normally like the final step to like a championship. So it's like how much do you want it? And both teams have to decide that.
Now let's talk the regular season game last year. How exciting is it, to play in that game where you girls get the equalizer in the final minute, right? And then you score the game-winning goal in the final minute in second overtime. How fun is it, to be in that type of atmosphere?
It was honestly incredible. You have 45 seconds left on the clock, and Paige goes up for the free kick, and I have a header over the back line. We just like everyone's like, what just happened? And then we go back in, and everyone's so amped up and like, we're gonna beat Wall. This is like revenge. I was like, I wasn't there the year before, but I had gone. I had followed along their state's journey and saw like it was a real like everyone was fired up. And then just to get the in the last 3 seconds of double overtime to tap one last one in, it was incredible. So fun.
Now, upsetting loss, obviously, in the Central Jersey final, went to a shootout. What was coach's message after that game to your team?
I think it was more of a we fought hard and it was unfortunate to end that way, but while that like incredible team, um and just like thank you to the seniors as well. I think it was like we like he was just overall proud of everyone. Like it's really unfortunate to lose in a PK shootout, and yeah.
How basketball's the same way for Central Jersey Group Two. Rumson, Manasquan, Homedale, always teams that are two of them are there's a good chance two of them are going to meet in the finals. Um, do you do you think playing in the Shore Conference gives the top teams, they always play hard schedules. Do you think playing that hard schedule is a reason why you always see the Shore teams in the Central Jersey Group Two reach the finals, and you usually have a shore on shore final?
Yes. I think that arguably the short conference is the best, if not one of the best conferences in the state. And I think that the schedule and the level of talent and the pool of players year after year in the short conference is exactly why you consistently see two of the teams in the finals, because it really is just that good.
Yeah, Group Two, that's the one division, and Group One, you usually circle Point Beach or Shore making it to the finals,
Yeah.
and Group Two is usually one of those divisions you could circle or going to be playing in the group semifinals as well. Every year, and Freehold Group Four, they had their run where you could usually you were able to circle them too, but Group Four is also very challenging from outside the shore. Now, this year, your senior year, what is something you hope to pass down to the underclassmen that they could take with them?
Hmm. I think I right now I'm kind of like in a more like nostalgic point of like processing that my high school soccer career is done. I've always said like my favorite time of year is high school soccer season. So I
Yep.
think enjoy it and you know like put your all into it, because you can only expect like it's your attitude and your effort. You can only expect the best. Like if you give your all, that's your best, and that's what you can expect. So I think enjoy it. Enjoy the time, enjoy the girls, enjoy the relationships you're gonna make, and then just put your all into it.
What was the biggest takeaway, or what the biggest thing that Coach Herc, helped you in your game?
I think that Herc was truly like such a rock for the team at a lot of times, because he pushed us, but just the right amount. He's not necessarily like you have some coaches sometimes that you see that are like screamers on the sidelines. That wasn't really his like
No.
motto. He was very like he did the research. He took the time to go over the numbers and build us game plans. We had Zooms to watch film and like look at top players on the other teams. He really did a lot to prepare us. And I think that he truly was like the glue to the analytical side for it.
And how big is that? What does that mean to the team when you have a coach that puts the time in, outside of the practice to watch the film and scout these other teams? Because I've had this conversation a few years ago with one of the top coaches in the Shore, because I always see him at a game, even teams that he's not going to play, but he's always there taking notes, because he says, you don't know, I might meet them in the Shore Conference tournament and stuff like that. So what does it mean to the players when you have a coach that's putting in all that effort, off the practice field to give you the best game plan?
Well, I feel like it shows that you're being handed the tools you need and that you should match that coach's effort. Like I think that it really like you see someone that is a role model to you, a mentor, your coach, literally, who is putting in so much time and effort that you should be doing the same. And then if everyone's working together for the same goal, it's a pretty perfect scenario.
I wanted, you made, my first team all sure. Jordan Sullivan made, as a sophomore, my third team, finished with 19 goals. What kind of growth did you see from her freshman year to this year?
She definitely grew into herself a lot. I feel like you always see a big change. Like a freshman in the first 3 months of their high school is still an eighth grader. I have three younger siblings. I'm seeing it in them as well. Um, but I think that she really, really came into herself and was talking on the field. She was so instrumental. She was our top goal scorer. She has so much ahead of her. Like so excited to see the things that she does.
Funny story, when my sister was a freshman at St. Rose, they were playing Wall, and that back then, St. Rose and Wall was it's not the St. Rose that is there now. They were always two top programs in the Shore, and she played, they're under the lights the first game of the season, and she got passed the ball by the best player who was getting a full scholarship to St. John's. Then she passed my sister the ball. My sister passed it right back, saying, "No, I don't want it," because she's so nervous, big spot. So that, that kind of makes sense. They're still eighth graders, so,
Mm-hmm.
they got to get comfortable. And you saw what, the future holds for Jordan, the next few years. And, talking to coach, he said there was a lot of freshmen that came out, and, you were a pretty heavy upper class team this year, a lot of seniors that had very important roles. But it looks like the future's bright with how many, underclassmen are that came in the program, because I know a lot of schools are struggling to get, freshmen and sophomores to come out. So what do you think the future holds for Rumson?
Oh, the future is so bright. We carry 27 this year, and half of them were, if not more, were seniors. So, but I think that there are so many girls that were played on the freshman team this year, and some got JV looks that have like in the next, maybe not so much this fall, like upcoming fall, but when Jordan Sullivan, Ella Peoples, they're seniors, it is going to be like phenomenal.
Yeah, I know coach was excited with that when, when he sort of
He
turned out,
should be.
especially, Rumson's not a huge school, so he gave me the numbers. I was like, wow, that's a big turnout for
Yeah,
freshman soccer. So
it really was. We normally have a lot of lacrosse players, but this class that just came in is heavy on players, and they're all very talented girls.
did you do flag football last year?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I had actually tore and I'd like ruined my ankle. I tore my high ankle, sprained everything else in it, and fractured it. So I was out for the entire spring of last year.
Okay. I know Ella was the MVP, wasn't she? Mason.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Yes, she.
Um, I went to one game her junior year, and I was so impressed. That's going to be a big sport, coming when they, make it an official varsity sport, I think. The issue is going to be, the lacrosse players that, did both, and, you're not going to be able to do that. Um, and track and field, if you did both, you're not going to be able to do that. So I wonder how that affects the numbers, but I see that as the next big thing because I see colleges are now starting to implement that as a sport
Yeah,
and giving out scholarships and stuff. So, all right, you ready for rapid fire questions?
I'm ready.
All right, what is your favorite TV show?
Grey's Anatomy.
All right, it's one I've heard. It shocks when I hear it because it's been on since I think I was 20. Favorite movie?
Oh, favorite Christmas movie right now. Um, oh, I'm blanking on the name, but I'll just say Home Alone.
Okay. Um, favorite food to eat?
Pasta.
Okay, good one. Favorite school subject?
Math.
What is your go-to song to get you pumped up or focused before a big game?
I'm we have for at least for high school soccer, our like girls soccer song is That's What I Like, Bruno Mars, that we always play, and then we follow it up with like Who Let the Dogs Out as we roll up to the school. So I would say probably those two.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you if the team had a set,
Yes, we have
song
a set
list.
playlist, and those are
Okay,
probably the two standouts.
When soccer, your playing career is officially over, well, I mean, we kind of talked about this already. You want to stay involved, coaching and
Yes.
whatnot. So we already answered that. Um, Last question. What do you enjoy doing in your free time when you're not playing soccer?
Um, I'm a big runner.
Okay.
I think I find a lot of clarity in running and just like going for like a long run. And just listening to the music and like letting like I'm definitely a big runner. I'd probably say that.
Okay. Um, Believe it or not, you're not the first person to say that, actually. What? Because I always ask that question, and somebody else, I think it was a while ago, like over a year ago, I've heard that. But I gotta see if I can remember who.
Oh, and I play piano. Um,
Oh,
yes.
where you go? When did you start playing piano?
My siblings started playing about 4 years ago, so I'd say probably I was like a year after them, so like maybe like 2.5 years ago.
My niece and nephew did do piano. I think they just stopped though. So, how old are your siblings?
They are my brother's 15, my sister's 13, and my other sister's 10.
Do they all do soccer?
No, I'm the
No.
only son there. My brother is football, wrestling, and my sister is a 5'11 left-handed 13-year-old, so she is basketball. So
Okay.
you will see her in high school in a year.
Okay.
Fingers crossed. And then my youngest sister is a gymnast.
Okay. All different sports there. So
All
your
different sports.
so your parents are driving all over the place
Exactly.
to get you to practice and stuff. Okay. All right, let's talk about college. What are you looking at when you're going on these visits? Like what is going to make you say I could spend my next 4 years here?
Environment is huge. I think it's definitely like the people make the place. So you have to like the people in order to enjoy the place, and it has to like fit yourself. I'm very academically driven. I take pride in my academics. I always have. So I'm definitely looking for more of a academic institution that would match my career, like my future career and major too. So I'd look at that.
How big is it, getting to, meeting the players? I've noticed, especially with soccer players, they seem to do a good job with getting to meeting the players before they're committing and knowing that, hey, this is a good fit with me. I get along with these kids. How big is that?
So huge. I think it tells you so much about the program
Mhm.
because if like you go and you see these girls and they're all like, especially if you see like three or four of them and how they interact with each other and then how they interact with you and then how they interact with their coach, like that like 5 minute interchange like exchange is so like I think it tells you so much about the program.
Yeah, that's I've learned that especially this season, doing these interviews, how big that is and how much it makes the transition smoother to the next level. Do you know what you want to study?
Most likely engineering.
Okay. What would you want to do with that after you graduate?
I've always
Well, what
I
is your dream to do?
I'm not really sure. I feel like I've always been more, there's obviously a lot of like subsets of engineering. I've always leaned more biomedical engineering.
Okay.
My youngest sister, it suffers from like single-sided deafness. But she's not eligible for a cochlear because of her auxiliary nerve is collapsed. So it was kind of like growing up with having a sister with a disability and then seeing all the doctors try and work, but there's not a lot of research and money in that field because it's not very common. So taking that and kind of like using that as my drive.
That's very impressive. I've seen that before where something happened in a family and, player I interviewed, one thought they were going to do something with for their career, and then that just triggered something, whatever difficulty they were going through that they wanted to find a solution, and that's what they decided to go study. So that's really impressive. All
Thank
right, my last question. What advice would you give your younger self?
you. Like I guess stick with it. I feel like I have a quote right here on my wall right now that I'll read. in order to succeed, your desire for success should be greater than your fear of failure. And I think that's something that I've always carried with me. So definitely just sticking, like, you got to put yourself out there sometimes. You can't be afraid. I mean, I've gone through lots of change in my, honestly, in the last 18 months. And it's change is good. You have to accept it. You got to roll with it. And it's a great opportunity to learn and grow. So just stick with it.
Excellent. That's great advice. All right, Aubrey, thank you for taking time out tonight to do this interview, and I wish you luck next year.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No
I'm really
problem.
honored to be on this. I've always watched all these girls come onto the Give Go podcast, and I've always looked up to them. So I'm really excited that I get to do this
I
finally.
appreciate, yeah, I saw your response when I asked the coach, and I was like, oh, that means a lot. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the girls, appreciating the time I put in for this. It's a pleasure to watch you girls play, and your girls' talent level in the shore makes it easy for me to go to the games and enjoy it. So thank you, and thank you for all the work you girls have put in since you were 5 years old to get to this level.
5 years old. It's been
All
it's
right,
been it's been a treat. Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. For the soccer fans that don't follow basketball, have a good holiday. If you soccer players that play basketball, I'll be seeing you on the basketball court. WOBM Christmas tournament is right around the corner. Probably doing a basketball preview podcast with Doug sometime later this week, hopefully. So thank you. And once again, Aubrey, thank you for taking time out tonight.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your birthday.
Oh, thank you very much.